Hey everybody, this is Mrmathblog. I hope you guys are doing well and you're enjoying your math classes, you guys, your class, and you're treating your teacher nicely and all that good stuff. And this is lesson 7.5 in our textbook. And don't forget, all your lessons can be found at mrmathblog.com. Okay, there's our Common Core strand for our teachers. And our question here is, how can we use an area model to show the product of two fractions? So we're going to be multiplying fractions by fractions, fraction by whole numbers, and we'll show you that with pictures here. So multiplication can be thought of resizing one number by another number. So for example, 2 times 3 will result in the product of 2 times as great as 3. Okay, and then so what happens to the size of the product when a number is multiplied by a fraction rather than a whole number? Well, we're going to discover that when we multiply by fractions, our product makes the numbers smaller. So here's an example right here. We're going to multiply 3/4 right here. Okay, so use a model. So during the week, the Heinzen family ate 3/4 of a box of cereal. Let's move that up right there. Okay, and so here's our whole box of cereal right here. And notice it's cut up into 4 equal pieces, because that's what our denominator is in terms of fourths. So here it says shade the model to show 3/4 of the box. So this is 4/4, so this is one whole box right here. So 3/4, we're going to shade those 3 right there, okay? All right, so write an expression for 3/4 of one box. Well, remember in math, of means multiply, so 3/4 times 1 would be the expression for 3/4 of 1. So will the product be equal to, greater than, or less than 1? Well, if this represents one whole box right here, then this shading part is definitely less than the whole one box right there. So I'm saying less than right there. All right, here the Bullock family has 4 boxes of cereal. So here's our 4 boxes of cereal right here, and they're all divided up into fourths because we're doing 3/4. They ate 3/4 of all the cereal during the week. So we're going to shade the model to show 3/4 of all 4 boxes of cereal. So we're going to shade 3 of these, 3 of these, and 3 of all of the 4 boxes right there. Okay, so write an expression for 3/4 of 4 boxes of cereal. That's the same as 3/4 times 4. So here's the product right here. It's this shaded stuff right here. So will this product be equal to, greater than, or less than 4? Well, since it's not all the way up, it's going to be definitely less than 4 right here because we're only eating a portion of it. We're not eating this top part right here. Okay, so it's definitely less than 4. Okay, all right, so here the Montoya family has only a half a box of cereal to start with. So that's what this is over here. Cut it in half. So here's half and then here's half right here. And then we divided it into 4 equal pieces because they ate 3/4 of the half a box of cereal. So we'll use this half over here. This is the half that they have right here. And then now we're going to shade 3/4 of this half right here. So we're going to shade these 3 right here, okay? And then so now we'll write an expression. So to show 3/4 of 1/2. Well, 3/4 of 1/2 is the same as 3/4 times 1/2. Remember, of means multiply right there. Okay, so will this product, which is this shaded part right here, will this product be equal to, greater than, or less than a half of a box? Well, it's less than a half of a box because a half of a box is this whole piece right there, including this top right here. So it's definitely less than that. How about, will it be equal to, less than, or greater than 3/4 right there? Well, 3/4 is the whole box right there. It's definitely going to be less than 3/4 because 3/4 would be, you know, that they did in the other box right there, and it's definitely less than that. This is only half of the 3/4 right there, and we'll get into what that means later. Okay, so both of those are less than. Okay, so another way is we can use a diagram to show the relationship between the products when a fraction is multiplied or scaled, resized, by a number. Okay, so here we're going to graph a point on a number line to show 3/4 multiplied by 1, which means scaled by 1, scaled by a half, and then scaled by 4. So we're going to do 3/4 times 1, 3/4 times a half, and 3/4 times 4 using number lines right here. Okay, so here's our number lines right there. We're going to do on this number line 1 times 3/4. On this number line 1/2 times 3/4. On this number line 4 times 3/4. So for the first part, think about locating 3/4 in the figure right here. Okay, well here's 1 right here. So here's 1/4, here's 2/4, here's 3/4 right there. So if we locate 3/4 right there, That's going to get us that little point right there. Okay, and then shade that distance to 0. So I shaded from 3/4 all the way to 0 right there. And now we're going to graph a point to show 1 of 3/4. Well, 1 of 3/4, here's one group of 3/4. So we're going to graph that point to show it's right there on the number line right there. There's 3/4 right there. Remember, 1 times anything is just anything. 1 times 3/4 is 3/4. So there's that right there. All right, so here we're going to do 1/2 times 3/4. So we're going to locate 3/4 on the number line again and shade that distance to 0. So there it is right there. And then right here it says, then graph a point to show 1/2 of 3/4. Well, if this is 3/4 right here, look here, look at the spaces. 1 space, 2 space, 3 spaces. So what's half of 3? It's 1/2. So if we go 1/2, then right there would be half of this. So we're going to put a point right here to show that 1/2 of 3/4. So right there, this point right here is 1/2 of 3/4. It's halfway in between that right there. See how it's smaller than 3/4 right there? Okay, and then here we're going to do 4 times 3/4. So let's go ahead and do 3/4 again. There's 3/4 right there, and then there's one of them. So now we're going to graph a point to show 4 times 3/4. So if that's 1, here's 2, here's 3, here's 4 of those groups right there. So we'll put a point right there to show this is 4 times 3/4 right there. Okay, so we graphed 3/4. Here we did 1/2 of 3/4. Here we did 4 times 3/4 right there. So we're going to use those graphs to talk about greater than, equal to, or less than. So complete each statement with equal to, greater than, or less than. Okay, so the product are these red dots. We're looking at these red dots. That's what the product is. So the product of 1 and 3/4 is right there. Is it going to be equal to, less than, or greater than 3/4? Well, this is going to be equal to 3/4. 1 times anything just equals that anything right there. Okay, how about the product of a number less than 1? Here we multiplied and 3/4. We multiplied 1/2, which is less than 1. 1/2 times 3/4. It gave us this number right here where the dot is right there. Is that less than, greater than, or equal to 3/4? It's definitely going to be less than 3/4 right there. Okay, and the other factor, well, when you're multiplying fraction times a fraction, it's always going to be less than, so it's going to be less than the other factor right there. So whenever you multiply two fractions together, as long as they're under 1, then they're going to be always less than the other factor. How about here, the product of a number that's greater than 1? Here we multiplied 4. 4 is greater than 1. 4 times 3/4. Is it going to be less than, equal to, or greater than 3/4? Here's 3/4 right here. Well, 4 of them gave us way over here. It's definitely going to be greater than 3/4. And it's going to be less than the other factor, okay? Because this answer right here, which is 3 right here, it was less than this other factor right here of 4. Okay, that's what that's talking about. Okay, hey, what if we had 3/5 and it was multiplied by 1/6, okay? Or if we multiplied 3/5 by 7, would the products be equal to, greater than, or less than 3/5? Well, since 1/6 is less than 1, it's going to be less than that. So here, remember we multiplied two fractions together. It gave us this answer right here. It gave us a number that was less than what we started with, 3/5. So if we multiplied 3/5 times 1/6, it's going to get less than 3/5. What is it? We'll talk about that in the next lesson right there. And then what if we multiplied 3/5 times a whole number? Here we multiplied 3/4 times a whole number, and it made it bigger than 3/4. So when you multiply by a number that's greater than 1, like 7's greater than 1, it's going to give us a number that's going to be greater than this fraction right here. It's going to be less than 7, but it's going to be greater than that fraction right there. All right, you guys, take care.